I worked two jobs here in America, sending every dollar I make back home because my husband said he's building us our dream house in Nigeria. Even though I was making a lot of money, I was living like a pauper here in America, saving every dollar. I lived in the cheapest apartment in the worst areas in this America, saving every dollar and sending it back home for my husband to build us a dream home in Nigeria. And I do not want to hear that, do not bring your family issues to social media. I am the one wearing the shoes, so I am the one who knows where it pays. I will talk. And the day I finally returned home back to Nigeria without telling my husband, because I wanted to surprise him, that surprise that almost choked me, another woman opened the gate for me, carrying a baby in her hand and asking me, who are you? Imagine another woman asking me, who are you? In a house I spent every penny I made, every dollar I made, working two jobs, day and night in America. A house I spent all of that to build. Another woman is carrying a child in her hand, stopping me by the gate and asking me, who are you? And still, people will come here and tell me don't bring family issues to social media. No, let me talk. For 9 years, I woke up 5 a.m. every day. I worked in a nursing home during the day. And during the night, I go clean offices. Some days, I slept only 4 hours. Just 4 hours sleep. Not because I enjoy suffering. No, I would love to enjoy my own money. But I cannot. Because my husband kept saying, Nne, just endure. Continue to endure a little bit longer. Once your permanent residency is approved, you can now come home. And by the time you come home, you will be coming home to your dream house already built and ready. And so I kept on working like Jackie every day, sending him all the dollars I was making. And guess what? I believed him. I trusted him. Stupid me. Because leaving America before my permanent residency is approved will complicate everything we have worked for. So I continued working and giving him the money. So every month, I did same thing. Send money to my husband, pay my bills every single month. That is how I was living. Money transfers became a routine for me and my husband. 1.2 million, 5 million, 800,000, 900,000. And whenever I asked my husband for the updates about how the project is going, my husband will video call me from a building site. Yes, he will call me on video call. And I will see workers working in the background, mixing concrete. Sometimes he will just show me newly plastered wall to show me that the project is going, where my money is going. He will take me around the building with the video call. He will say, Nne, see your kitchen. Nne, see your master's bedroom. Nne, imagine sitting on this balcony when you come back home. And I will just be on the phone smiling through my tiredness. At some point, I started believing that every overtime I was working was worth it. I have heard stories in the past about people living and working in America and sending their hard-earned dollars back home for their family members to build a project for them, and they end up squandering it. I have heard these stories in the past. But no, for some reason, I believed my own is different. I have the best husband. Look at him, he's showing me the project. My husband is the best. Oh, God blessed me with the best husband. 9 years after the whole struggle, the email I was waiting for finally arrived. They have approved my permanent residency. Praise be to God. And I wanted to surprise my husband. Yes, I wanted to surprise him. I wanted to give him a beautiful surprise. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell my in-laws. I did not even tell my own siblings that I was coming back home. I landed in Lagos on a Tuesday. And by Wednesday evening, I was standing in front of the house my husband had spent 9 years telling me he was building for us. My heart was beating to the point where I couldn't even hold on to my suitcase very well. When I got there, the gate wasn't locked. It was open. I just pushed the gate and it opened. I walked inside the compound. Everywhere was so quiet. And then the front door opened. A young lady walked out through the front door, holding a baby. She looked at me and smiled politely. And then she asked me, "Good afternoon. Who are you looking for?" I smiled back at her and politely told her that I'm looking for my husband. And I told her his name. As soon as I mentioned my husband's name, the smile disappeared from her face immediately. She held the baby a little bit tighter. And then she asked a question that made my knees go weak. She turned at me and said, "Who are you?" This young woman looked at me from head to toe. When I said she looked at me, she took her time and sized me up from top to bottom, frowned her face and said, "Who did you say you are looking for again?" "My husband." She laughed. Not because she thought I was funny, but because she thought I was making a mistake. I am in the wrong house. That kind of laugh. You know that kind of laugh? Like, who are you? Who do you say you're looking for? Like the person you just mentioned is my old husband too, and you are at the wrong place. That kind of laugh. She repeated it again for the 10th time, in case I did not understand that very well. She said, the person you just mentioned right now is my husband. And honestly, at that point, neither of us said anything again. We were just silent for a few seconds. We didn't know what to say to each other anymore. The baby she was holding started crying. So she put the baby on her back and tied the baby very well. And the child she was carrying shouldn't be over 2 years at the time. So I looked at the baby and I looked at her again. And I asked her, how long have you been married to him? And she answered without hesitation at all. She said 3 years. I have been married to him for 3 years. In my mind, 3 years? Like my legs were literally shaking. My legs almost gave away. And I remember vividly well that 3 years earlier, one day, my husband called me on the phone from Nigeria. He was so excited. He said, Nne, the roofing of the house has just started. Everything is coming together little by little. Just hold on a little bit more, okay? Hold on. And that he will need more money for the roofing. And that 3 years, he was getting married. Like he literally married somebody while collecting money from me. At that point, I just took a deep breath and I said to her, there is a mistake somewhere, because I've been married to this man for 12 years. 12 whole years. And immediately, the whole smile in her face disappeared. Her countenance changed immediately. The whole confidence in her disappeared. She stared at me. She gave me this big stare, as if she was trying to decide if I was lying to her or I was saying the truth. And then she whispered, no, it's not possible. He told me his wife died in America. So my husband told her that his wife died in America. That's exactly what she said to me. And honestly, I shook my head slowly like this. I told her, no, that's not true. This is me here. I am standing right in front of you. This is me. The woman became weak immediately. She just sat down by the stairs and she was whispering to herself, no, this is not true. He told me his wife is dead. He showed me pictures. He said he was a widower. I opened up my phone immediately and I showed her pictures. I showed her pictures of me and my husband, our wedding pictures, our traditional marriage pictures. I even showed her screenshot pictures that I took when we were celebrating our anniversaries on video call. Whenever we're on video call celebrating our anniversaries, I do take screenshots. So I showed it to her. She covered her mouth with her hand immediately and was screaming, oh my God, oh my God. And at that moment, I realized that she wasn't pretending, that she has been deceived same way he deceived me. And for a few seconds, we didn't speak to each other. We were just silent and confused. And then I finally asked her, what is your name? She said her name is Amara. I asked her, how long have you been living in this house? She said 3 years. And I'm like, 3 years? That's exactly how many years my husband has been telling me that construction is going on and it will soon finish. We need more money. I need little more money. Send more money. So for that 3 years, I was busy slaving abroad, sending money to him. And he was busy using my money, my hard-earned money, my sweat, my sleepless night to marry another woman behind me. I quietly sat down beside the young woman and I told her, I am not here to fight you. If what you just said is true, that means we have been both deceived. Her eyes was filled with tears and she got up immediately and went inside the house. Came back again with a big brown envelope in her hand. Inside that brown envelope she brought out were documents from their traditional marriage, their wedding certificate, pictures from their traditional and white wedding, hospital records from when their son was born, and everything was real. My hands started shaking immediately. I almost had a heart attack. Listen, this wasn't an affair between two of them. This was real marriage. My husband married a whole new wife and created a whole new family while I was in America working overtime and sending money to him. I took out my phone from my bag and one by one I started showing Amara, the girl, I started showing her all the bank transfers that I've been sending money to my husband with. At this point, our husband, all the bank transfer that I've been using to send money to him. I showed her everything. 5 million, 7 million, 10 million, 800,000, 600,000. I showed her each and every one of it. Month after month, year after year, days after days, I showed her everything. She looked at me and burst into tears and started crying and said, I thought he was the one paying for everything. At that point, I couldn't even cry anymore. I just had one question to ask her. I asked her, who built this house? She frowned her face and asked me, "What do you mean?" I said, "I mean, who built this house you are living in?" She turned around immediately and answered quickly. She said, "Her husband. He told her that he had built this house long ago, before he even met me, before he even married me, before I even died in America, that he already built that house. So the house was built by him." And standing there, looking at the house, I just realized that the house has been completed like 3 years ago. So for the past 3 years, he kept on asking me for money. He continued asking me for money. Even when he already completed the house, he continued asking me for money until the day I returned. And that was when I now took my time and walked around the house, looked at it properly, and you can literally see that something isn't right at all. Some part of the building, the paint is fading away already. Some part of the windows was already cracked up. I took my time and I went inside the building, looking at the tiles. The tiles even look older than that 3 years. That was when I now understood that this man will always take his time and go to a construction site somewhere and then call me on video call and show me the building and tell me that it is still under construction, and continued collecting money from me even when he stopped building 4 years ago. And at that moment, I realized that I hadn't just lost my husband, that I've been living inside a lie that had lasted for over a decade. And even with the house he built, there was still a lot missing. Because the amount of money he collected from me for how many years, that house still did not account for it at all. There was still a lot missing, and I needed to find out. And so I asked Amara, "Has he ever told you he had debts anywhere?" She shook her head and said no. She said that he has always said that his business is doing well, so he had no reason for debt. I asked her if there was any other investment she knew about. She said yes. She said he had mentioned buying a land in Abuja. I laughed bitterly. She continued and said that he told her he was building their dream house in Enugu. So he was actually building another home for him and his new wife somewhere in Enugu with my own money. And so we agreed to keep my visit a secret for now. We exchanged numbers and I left. The next morning, I called my bank in America and I requested for a statement for every penny I had ever transferred to his bank account in the last 9 years. And by afternoon, it was ready. And I printed everything. Transfer after transfer, page after page, I printed everything out. And you guys, when I finished adding the money, I had to check my calculator 3 times. When I finished adding the money, turns out that I had sent him a 280 million naira in 9 years. After calculating that money, my hands started trembling. 280 million naira. And I opened my phone again and looked at the video of that house he had sent me. And the numbers still didn't make sense. Even if he had built 2 houses, there should still be money left somewhere. So I went looking for the contractor of that house. It took me 3 hours to find him. The moment I introduced myself to him, he took a deep breath and he said, "I have been waiting for this day." And I asked him, "Do you know who I am?" He said yes, that my husband used to tell them about his wife who works in America. Then the contractor said, "Hold on." He went inside the house and came out with an old ledger. He flipped through pages, several pages, and then turned it to me. Pointing at the date, he said, "The last payment I received from your husband was 4 years ago." I was literally staring at the date, and I remembered 4 years ago was when my husband called me one day and almost crying. He said that the cement has tripled the amount, the price, and that the economy is very bad, that everything is costly, and he needed more money. Almost crying, he said, "Ne, send more money. The cement has tripled the price. Send more money before the workers stop working." I panicked and I sent more money. I even picked up extra shift because of this. And I believed him. I believed his lies, and I kept sending him money. And at that moment, I felt tears filling in my eyes. Then the contractor looked at me with pity and said, "My daughter, if you had been sending money for the past 4 years, that means somebody has been eating your sweat." I quickly called a taxi and went straight back to his house. As I was walking into the compound on that day, for the first time since 2 days, he finally knew I was in Nigeria. He was walking out through the front door, and the moment he saw me, he stopped. His face turned pale. And for a few seconds, nobody spoke. It was just total silence. Amara walked out through the front door as well and stood beside me. She said the baby was asleep. In total surprise, he looked at me, turned around and looked at Amara, and then looked back at me again. And this time, he forced a smile, and then he said, "Nne, I can explain." I just shook my head and I told him, "For 9 years, this is all you have done?" And I made it clear to him that today, I will be the one asking the questions and you will be the one answering. And I told him, for 9 years, this is all you have done? And I made it clear to him that today, I will be the one asking the questions and you will be the one answering. At this point, we walked inside the house and I placed a big brown envelope on the dining table. Every bank statement, every bank receipt, every payment confirmation, every WhatsApp messages where he asked for more money, every video he sent from the so-called construction site. And then I placed another file beside it. The contractor's payment record, land documents, building permits, every damn thing. He picked up the files and opened it and looked through it for a few seconds and his hands started shaking. I looked him straight in the eyes and I told him, for 9 years I trusted you. So tell me, where did my money go? The vulture opened his mouth and nothing came out. And Amara slowly removed her wedding ring, placed it on the dining table and picked up her son. She turned around and looked at him and said, I will not raise my son to be a man who survives by lying. He tried to stop her, but she pushed him away and walked past him without looking back. And then he turned to me and said, Nne, please, I made a mistake. We can fix this. I promise we can fix this. I turned and looked at him and smiled. For the first time since I landed Nigeria, I smiled and I told him, no, a mistake was you building a whole new family behind me with my hard-earned money. That was a mistake. Every month, while I was cleaning offices and working double shifts in America, you were busy sending me videos of a future that no longer exists. He lowered his head, and for the first time in our marriage, he had no excuse at all. And I picked up my bag. But before leaving, I looked around that house again, and it wasn't my dream house anymore. I walked out, and when I got to the gate, he called my name one last time, but I didn't turn around. I kept moving. Some people actually think that the saddest part of my story is that I lost 9 years. No, they are wrong. The saddest part was that I kept mistaking sacrifice for love. But do you know the happiest part? The day I stopped asking, why did he do this to me? And started asking, what kind of life do I want from here? Because he didn't just lose a wife that day. He lost the only 2 people who had ever believed every word he said. I worked 2 jobs here in America, sending every dollar I make back home because my husband said he's building us our dream house in Nigeria. Even though I was making a lot of money, I was living like a pauper here in America, saving every dollar. I lived in the cheapest apartment in the worst area in this America, saving every dollar and sending it back home for my husband to build us a dream home in Nigeria. And I do not want to hear that, do not bring your family issues to social media. I am the one wearing the shoes, so I am the one who knows where it pays. I will talk. And the day I finally returned home back to Nigeria without telling my husband because I wanted to surprise him, that surprise that almost choked